If you're a model railroader, you're no stranger to paint, and I've got 8 tips for you here that'll not only save you some paint, they'll save you some money. The first tip is storage. There are plastic papers inside of fruit roll-ups and other candy like this that you may enjoy, your kids may enjoy, your grandkids may enjoy. Inside of this, you'll find some plastic paper that breaks easily and is perfect for storing your paint. The big advantage of this is the paint won't adhere to this paper, and so it's always easy to open up the jar, plus it'll keep it relatively airtight. However, if you're going to be storing paint for a long period of time, what you'll want to do is store the paint upside down. Storing the paint upside down keeps the air from getting into the cap. It'll harden around the perimeter of the lid, and you can keep paint for 10 or 15 years as long as you keep it in a nice climate-controlled environment. Mixing paint is easy when you use something like these disposable bottle tops. They come in obviously all different sizes depending upon what you're drinking, and it's great to be able to put a few drops of paint, of varying paints into these things and just mix them up. If you've got an airbrush with a cup on it, it's easy enough to just make 1 cup full of paint and pour that in there. But these are pieces that you'd normally throw away or recycle anyway, so why not use them for mixing paint? Speaking of mixing paint, a lot of modelers will shake their paint to distribute the pigment inside of the solvent. But actually the best way to do it is to use a battery-run paint mixer. This happens to be a model by Badger, but they're sold by other companies as well. These run between $10 and $15. And the big advantage here is within 15 seconds, you can distribute that pigment very evenly throughout the paint, and it does a much better job of distributing the pigment in the paint than simply shaking the paint does. The downside of this is that you'll always wind up with a drip or two of paint down on the mixing blade down there, and to try to get that off, your impulse is to push the trigger, and you'll wind up by splattering paint all over your workbench. So to solve that, you can build a little collar out of a small juice bottle, or even a spice bottle will work, but something that will fit over the lip of your paint bottle so that you can get it in there, mix it up, bring your mixer out a little bit, and again the collar picks up all of the excess paint that will tend to fly off. Now you're working at your workbench with your paint. And of course, air is the big enemy of paint. Air wants to dry paint, and the worst thing you can do is be painting a model and leave that paint open a lot, especially if you're going on to some other task and then coming back. So if you've got an old mouse, an old computer mouse at home that you're not using, pop the mouse ball out of it, pop that on the top of the paint jar, and that will seal off the paint jar temporarily while you're doing your other task, and it's easy enough to just toss this aside, get your paint, and put it back on there to make sure that the paint is sealed. When you're doing a lot of paint mixing, it's a pretty smart idea to have a mixing card. This is a piece of heavy styrene, and what I've got on this thing, it just shows the various colors that you can buy already pre-mixed, but it shows what they look like on white, so you get a good idea of what the real color is. If you're doing some custom mixes, you can put those on this card as well, put the formulas on here, and next time you're trying to match a flesh color or a certain blue color, you've got the formula on there, and you've got exactly what that paint is looks like on white. The last tip: if your workbench is nowhere near a sink, as mine is not, there is a product called a rinse well. And what this is a plastic jar of water in a little reservoir down here. When you're done painting, it's easy enough to just dunk your brush in there to get the excess paint off of it. And then this button will flush the paint down into the bottom of the rinse well. And then as you can hear it filling up here, more water will fill up in the reservoir, and you're constantly having clean water at your workbench. Those are 8 paint tips that'll save you some time, save you some money, and save you some paint.